A young woman with immaculate, no doubt vintage studded suede cowboy boots just sprinted past me. Well, rather sauntered. A young woman just sprauntered past me and crossed the street. Her friends are outside in clusters, swaying to synthy music. An impossibly epic block party of impossibly cool young people is forming and growing. They all really seem to love each other, hand-holding and active listening, and I wonder how many of them will be friends in 10 years. Who will get into a questionable relationship and constantly feel the need to justify their partner's dickish narcissism and belittling digs? Who will abandon their art and get a job that looks better on paper, that takes them around the world, but which is so rigorous that they only see the four walls of an office even when they're in Budapest? God, they're having so much fun. No doubt many of them are struggling financially, and likely a few of them never will, and they likely won't talk about it with each other, but there will be a quiet knowingness when they all assemble at said friend who's perpetually in between jobs, 3,000 square foot apartment loft to pregame. But none of that matters right now. A car drives by and honks. Not a threatening honk, but more of a, hey, I see you guys, and I couldn't help but tell y'all that you're cool as fucking fuck. A sustained honk like, hey. They all cheer and yell, thank you. They're not promoting anything. They're not protesting anything. They're accruing an audience adoration from complete strangers, simply off peripheral vibes. The vibes were so palpable they leaked through the cracks in the windows of a Kia. The power they yield is astounding. I wonder if any of them are having good sex yet. I'm projecting. When I was 21, I exclusively had tepid sex, like a hot tub stuck at 71. So much potential and yet so unsatisfying. You give it a whirl anyway, but the entire time you wonder what could have been. When I was 23, I went on a camping trip with 30 other Dutch people, on average 15 years my senior. We traveled in 10-person vans across state lines, traversed through national parks, slept under stars and boulders on hollow cots, drinking room temp beers. They'd have 1, I'd have 5. That's not true. I'd drink Banker's vodka from a crinkly water bottle and chase it with orange juice. Anybody else? I never really cared for beer or smoking from a water bong, things I did in high school to appear one way but muscling through it internally. One time I took 3 hits from an Illadelph water bong in the attic. My parents were incredibly lenient. My father is Dutch and, for lack of a better descriptor, a human muppet. And my mom went to theater school and took me to see Moomenschans and naked drag brunches as a kid. So needless to say, they let us do whatever we wanted in my attic. Experiences were encouraged, sanctioned. It was the Dutch way. If you legalize marijuana, you won't overdose on marijuana. But has anyone ever overdosed on marijuana, or is that just something that Dare told me in 6th grade? This is your brain on marijuana. Okay, but in all fairness, one time I took acid and walked with an imaginary cane all night. Come on, Hannah, we're gonna miss the opener. Guys, I'm going as fast as I can. We were on our way to see the Disco Biscuits. The next day anybody else? The next day we nursed our hangovers in the attic, and I took 3 hits from the Illadelph water bong and ate 3 large Papa John's pizzas alone. One time I left all the windows of the attic open in the dead of March, the most depressing and arguably most pointless month of the year, and left the windows open to air out the thick musk of Illadelph skunk weed. A sativa that made me question my every move, my every breath, and gave me pit stains that extended down to my hips. Yes, that is possible. In the morning, I jogged up the shag carpet stairs to find Kunja's lost beanie and Beaver's grinder, and a foot of fresh snow coated the attic floor. A Narnia of sorts, concealing the bong stains and other possible liquids that throngs of teenagers passing through had left behind. It was idyllic, Christmas in March. With my hands, I cupped heaps of snow as quickly as I could and hoisted them out the window. When my mom came upstairs, she was justifiably upset, but her distress was soon replaced remarkably with laughter. I watched her mystified until I too giggled. It rushed out of us both involuntarily like a broken hose. She ran and fetched a scarf and a pair of earmuffs, and we did an impromptu photo shoot in the attic. Impossible to predict how a parent may respond to a teenager doing something wrong. I think it's so dependent on factors so largely out of the kid's control. Has it been a bad money year? A good money year? Has dad been drinking again and hiding the mail? Did mom's bipolar friend Nancy attempt suicide again? Back to the block party. A couple in Tevas and their small child are passing by. The child, I'm going to guess 3, judging by their motor functions and their quick understanding and willingness to join a grown-ups party, has no hesitation and lurches in, body tangled in the gaggle of people as they form a circle around him. He bends his knees and slaps them with his hands in tight fists, contorting his body into fun shapes, seeing what his little limbs are capable of. The adults are loving it. Some start a chant for him. A girl emulates his move, but not quite. It's clear that she's aware that she's being perceived, and so the moves are somehow still languid and swan-like. Within minutes, the kid is over it, ready to forge on, in relentless pursuit of new sights, new sounds. A 3-foot, 5-inch Fievel goes west. He makes a swift exit, and I do mean swift, sprinting towards the crosswalk with the tenacity of an Olympian. His parents hurl their bodies in front of him and bear tackle him into the ground as gently as one can in crisis. He's jostled a bit, but at least he's not in front of a moving car. A new couplet is rolled over in a green Mini Cooper, shaggy bangs, Canadian tuxedos, and vests that just work. I'm still not sure how to make my own vests work, and so they rot in the darkest corners of my closet, waiting to be beckoned. I see a camera with a $2,000 lens around the neck of a girl whose skin is so clear and poreless that you can see her freckles. She takes, my dad's Dutch. She takes photos, and I bet she knows how to develop them herself, in the glow of red light, holding tongs as the distortion becomes clearer, revealing grins and tongues touching. I watch her for a moment. For a moment, I see her watching me watching her. I myself live in constant fear of being perceived, the constant tug of war, the unrelenting battle and conceit to give myself permission to explore and contort my body like that little boy, see what new shapes I can make. Another girl screams at the top of her lungs as her friends topple her to the ground in a hug. There's a certain freedom of being, I'm going to guess 22, that I'll never quite return to. A squeal that would ordinarily seem shrill and interrupted is so charming when this person does it. Do all of these people love their beautiful bodies? I really hope they do, because they really are so beautiful in their own unique ways. Do they question themselves the way I did, the way I do sometimes? Did they live in a questionable and oftentimes damp apartment? Sorry, I'm going to the wrong. I don't recall having a deep desire to make a lot of money back then. I just needed to make enough. It didn't feel feasible to dream big. My scope was limited, but I suppose I was also young enough that the implications of that didn't swallow me whole. There's a romance almost to commiserating over your poorness, permission to drown your sorrows, make mistakes, a byproduct of needing to briefly escape it all. I also never went to college, largely out of fear of my financial literacy and a potential lifetime of being followed by it. So I excused my 20s for perhaps a few years too long. I could play hooky from growing up since I didn't get to run naked through a quad or hang a shitty tapestry in a dorm. But I grew up in a feast or famine house, something in common with maybe one of these people. Any payout would disappear swiftly and with reckless abandon. Never stored, never saved, always spent. My parents worked the U.S. division of a travel company. They were tour operators. If we'd make a particularly hefty commission, we'd take a trip, not to the boardwalk or to Disney, to Egypt for 3 weeks, and then we would have no money for the entire year. It was sort of a rinse-repeat of this into adulthood. What I do admire is that freedom of spirit. How many kids can say they climbed the Djoser Pyramid, sailed the Nile? How many kids can say they had no presents for Christmas because they sailed the Nile, saw the Djoser Pyramid? Maybe sometimes you don't need foresight. If it's all going to burn down anyway, we may as well eat the fruit before it spoils, right? Wouldn't it be so strange, a life absent of mess? I used to dislike linen. It felt waspy, but it's actually the messiest fabric of all. Pressed, clean, worn for but a moment before it becomes tissue paper flung from a gift bag, like lines on a hand, creased and crinkled. I got Botox on my neck recently to remove the lines. Would you remove rings from a tree? The lines are still there. The medicine didn't take. And I'm trying to make peace with that. I've lived and I've endured, and if I'm lucky, I'll get to do that for a long time. I crossed the street and considered joining the girlies at the block party, making shapes with my body, squealing in delight, asking them what kind of lens they're using on that sick-ass camera. I do not, but maybe we're not too dissimilar. Thank you.